Okay, guys, welcome to another Friday Waffle. And again, this is coming to you on Thursday, which is last night, or it might not be last night, depending. Hang on a second. Wait a wee minute. Dell, what the hell are you doing in my waffle?
Oh, I don't know. I was sitting in front of my computer and all of a sudden I was brought into something.
I know you're a bit of a techno kid when it comes to wizardry and electronics. Did you manage to hack into my stream or something? That's bizarre.
Yeah, and I know your credit card details. I know where you live. And I didn't know you were watching all those sort of things on Netflix. But there you go.
Purely for research, I'll have to tell you. Well, you know what? Since you're here, you might as well join in if that's all right.
Yeah, certainly.
Good stuff. So how the hell are you?
Oh, not too bad. I've been on a break this week.
That's what I heard.
Yeah. So I've been working lots and lots of hours. I don't know if you know, but the government has basically said that if you didn't take up your day's holiday, you can carry stuff forward. So I've got no end of days next year. So I started to take at least a week of them. God knows what it will be like when I go back to work. There'll be a week of catching up.
I know. It's funny you should say that. I mean, I'm just in a new job. I have to say, thoroughly loving it, really, really enjoying it. But like any job, it's like 100 miles an hour. You know, you're just constantly woof, woof, woof. And I'm starting to now, I wouldn't say getting on top of the job, but I'm getting quite comfortable in the job. I know where to go, I know who to speak to, whatever. And my boss is like, you've got 20 and a half days to use before March. And I'm like, that's 4 weeks. Because I'm one of these people. I'm not one of these sad people that lose holidays. But as long as I've never been off ill since the 1980s. So holidays, I'll put in for a week in summer or whatever it is. So I usually have to be kind of chased to take holidays. So I'm taking, when am I off? The 12th of October for a week. And as much as I'm looking forward to not being at work, I'm kind of dreading going back because it'll be like, woof, emails, you know?
Yeah. So I've got 52 days to take before June next year. That's pretty much where 52. I'm at. So it's 32 plus 20, which is what I've carried forward. And and like I say, with when you work, so when you're a single person doing a singular job, and somebody is covering you while you're gone for a couple of days, I just know that there's tons of spreadsheets which I've got to type into all of the proper areas that they've got to go into, and I'm not looking forward to that. That's Monday. So I'll look forward to Sunday with the stream, and then I'll go, right, now tomorrow I've got to start worrying about it, and I'll forget about it till then.
Funny you're talking about, do you use Excel quite a bit at work?
Yes, we use Excel, Office.
You know,
yeah.
When I think, I mean, I worked for Sky Television years ago, hated that crap. Well, apparently they're better to work for now. But, you know, one of the biggest companies in the world, and they use, everything is based on Excel. Every company I've ever worked for, it's Excel. I'm quite surprised that Microsoft don't actually think, hang on a second, our bit of software is actually powering the industry and ramping their prices up. And more surprisingly, I don't know why. I mean, I'm sure kids do get taught how to use Excel at school, but why have Latin or algebra, not algebra, why have Latin or, I don't know, home economics when you can have Excel? Because, I mean, if you don't know how to use Excel, you're pretty much stumped, especially if you're going to get a job in an office, because it's probably, you know, after like Windows, it's probably the most kind of common bit of software that you'll ever use, isn't it?
Yeah. Basically, it is. I mean, I only used it in a small way for quite a number of years of my life, and then somebody came along and gave me a piece of advice and said, learn about pivot tables. And I went, well, I don't know what the hell you're talking about, pivot tables. And then as soon as I started getting into asset work and builds and so forth, I then suddenly went, yeah, I've got to learn about pivot tables, haven't I? And I haven't looked back since then, because all the other commands, you know, like merging and doing lookups and all that sort of stuff, pivot tables does make it easy, but it's boring. So we'll get on to games, hopefully, or some questions. Because
on that note, have you ever unlocked the? I don't think it's even a shoot 'em up. It's a kind of like a battle zone type game in Excel 2003, I think it is.
No, no, no. I mean, I know lots of things. If you type in Word equals rand and then open brackets 10, you'll see a weird thing turn up. You can just do that in your own time. But that's
Really?
interesting. Yeah.
Go on, I'll need to write that down. Wait a wee minute. I'll need to write that down. No, I think it was XL 2003, and I did do it. Just Google it. You've got to like go down a certain. You've got to go down a certain cell, and then you've got to do shift and enter along, and then you put a formula in, and then suddenly it opens up with this kind of flight simulator that you can use the mouse to control. You never heard of that one, no?
No, I was definitely going to look that up.
What was that again? You said rand
The equal sign,
equals
then RAND rand.
Yeah.
And then open brackets 10 close brackets,
Ah.
and then hit return.
Okay, there we go. About half the people have just left this stream to go in. Well, I'm not live, by the way. I should drop that in. Yeah, there'll be a way to look at to try that thing out.
Yeah, it's just things that you pick up. That's because I'm old school. And that, by the way, is to do with printing when you do it. It's not going to set the printer off. I'm just going to say, do it. And then you'll go, right, I understand why it's there now. But there you go.
So, games-wise, what are you? Do you play many games?
I've been playing Gyrus all week. Now, now the reason for that was it's one of my favorite arcade games. But
you know what? Sorry, Dom, interrupt. You know, sometimes your brain thinks too quick and then you jump. I'm thinking Gyrus. You know what I'm thinking? A bloody gyroscope. Remember that Melbourne house? Cheapo. Yeah. I'm thinking, of all the games to play, and you're playing bloody Gyrus. But yeah, Gyrus. Yeah, a fantastic game, isn't it?
Yeah, and basically I remember going into the arcades. I think if I remember rightly, it's the first stereo arcade game.
Is that right?
And, but somebody told me there's a number of versions. There aren't that many, but you ought to look at the Nintendo Entertainment System version because it's different. It's different. So I thought, okay, well, I'll open up a Nintendo Entertainment System emulator because I haven't got a Nintendo Entertainment System. And I opened it up and, oh my God, it's different. I mean, there's bosses, there's things going around the edge that just a bit like Tempest. There's things in the center that throw rocks and things at you. And I was going, wow, this is different. I wouldn't say it's better. I'm just saying you could see that they certainly it's sort of like Gallagher Plus. You know what I mean? It's like they added some enhancements. But I've really enjoyed it. I mean, I like the Atari 800 version, although a bit blocky. The 64 version is still my favorite if you're looking at home versions. But the arcade version, I mean, I've got a soft spot for it.
Yeah, fantastic game. So did you manage to get to Uranus, obviously?
Yeah, I usually get pretty close. I get to about 4 or 5 planets in. I think I've got to Earth once.
Ooh, how many is that? You're almost better than me.
Well, you know, there's 9 planets, isn't there? So it's about 5, 6 in, isn't it? Yeah.
No, very good. Funny you're talking about the NES one being different. When I do my Arcade Perfect, my arses, if there's a Nintendo game, they either completely and utterly change it apart from the name, or else they'll just put in the different levels and they play about with the game mechanics. And I always debate myself and say, well, if I was, back in the day, I would prefer, a real faithful version of the arcade. But I suppose when you think back to I don't know 1986, 1987, when 8-bits were starting to get to grips with them, the last thing that you would really want to play in 1986 would be a pixel perfect version of Space Invaders. You wanted to play things like, well, maybe not me personally, you wanted to things like Batman the movie or whatever. You didn't want to play, nobody wanted that Galaga or Berserk. It's only 30 years later that we want to play Berserk and Galaga, but in 1986, 1987, people didn't want to play them. You know what I mean?
I mean, I look at it a little bit like this. I don't really have that much time or investment to go into a game unless it's something that you can save and then go back to. But then what I tend to find with those games is I'll forget the control methods, or I'll forget what I was doing at the time or whatever, because by the time I get back to it, weeks have gone by. So I'm looking back now and going, I would need something that I could just pick up and play. And to be quite honest, the most brilliant pick up and play thing is something that you used to play in your youth, and that would be in the arcades, and you'd be playing Gallagher and Phoenix and all of those lovely little games, and you just go away and go, that was good, right, now I'll go off and do something else. So yeah, that's pretty much it.
I'm exactly the same. It's interesting you mentioned about you don't put a lot of effort into it. I mean, as you probably noticed, I had a certain comment. He was thoroughly disappointed that I don't make an effort and explain game mechanics, and I don't make an effort to be better at games.
Well, yeah, I mean, I saw the comment and just went, yeah, moving on. It was I mean, I don't know. I mean, there's no mentioning names or anything. It's just I just think of it as being, well, it's not that type of thing. This was supposed to be hey, look, maybe you haven't seen these shoot 'em ups on these games. They're a bit obscure. If you wanted to know a review of it, we'll go and type in the word review.
Yeah.
It didn't even say that in your advertisement for the actual stream itself. So I'm going, what the hell was all that about? So I just went moving on and started reading out of the other comments.
Yeah, I think it's interesting that people's expectation from YouTube, don't get me wrong, there are some professional YouTubers that's a full-time job, and then you get people like myself and Panther and Lucosa and all these other guys, Lawn Boys post. It's just a hobby. It's just a hobby. And I mean, without going over old ground, I mean, the whole reason I started up doing YouTube is because I just got to a point one day and I thought, what am I going to play? And I'm like, oh, bloody hell. I thought, why don't I play a crap game? I didn't even know that was a thing. I thought, I'll play a crap game and I'll record it and I'll put it on my YouTube channel. And then just over the next couple of months, you get one or two people watching. You think, why is this person watching me playing a game? And it just becomes, it's just something that I did. But people have this certain expectation that, they expect this or expect that. Well, I'm sorry, but until somebody gives me money and says, there's 50 quid, go and make a detailed review of V, then, don't, if you want a detailed description or game mechanics, I mean, if anyone's watched any of my videos over the last 6 years, you'll know full well that, the amount of criticism that I get from people saying, you didn't press the turbo button, you didn't do that. And I went, oh, I know, because I just jump into it and I start playing it, and that's, I don't try and give any preconceptions of what I'm about. I'm just a daft idiot that plays games and has a bit of laugh spares a wee bit, and as you say, you watch a video, I'll do a video and it'll be like I don't know, Manic Miner on the Auric, and then you get a thumbs down, and you're like, how can you possibly thumbs down that video? Because unless you want to rate other videos that people have looked at Manic Miner on the Auric, then say, well, yours is a shit video. The hints in the name, Manic Miner for the Auric, and I play Manic Miner for the Auric, so what do you expect? So I think a lot of these thumbs down, it's just purely probably, I was going to say idiots. I mean, that's at the end of the day, it's, I don't know.
The thing I like about, particularly like your type of channels, and I've got no end of channels that I can actually spend a little bit of time on and go, do you know what, I'm going to learn something here and I'm going to know everything about it when I go away, and that's fine. That's what I want. I want to be taught something and I don't need to go somewhere else to find something else about it. That's absolutely fantastic. The thing I liked about a video like what you produced just now, before this week, I think it was, or was it just the end of last week, was that I think the shoot 'em ups that you were showing was it piqued my interest to go and look elsewhere to try and find out something about it. That's what it's there, because some teachers will turn around and say, to learn something, you need to go away and pique someone's interest and make them go away and research it. You don't need to tell them everything about it. Everybody knows 2 + 2 is 4, right? Unless you're an accountant. So basically, if you've got somebody that turns around and said, hey, you might not have seen this, look at this, here's the first level, what do you think about it? Now go away and research it, and maybe I've piqued your interest enough to go and play the thing. That's what that was all about. You didn't need to go, oh, by the way, this button does this button does that. If you turn left here, if you go into here, there's a secret. If you press this keypad and all this, no, that's not the whole point of what that was. That piqued my interest. And if you look at some of the comments, people were going, hey, I didn't know the PC Engine could do that. It displays this many colors. It displays this many sprites. Never heard of those games. Everybody was starting to talk about it, and that's the whole point. You got people talking. There you are. Perfect stream.
Yeah, you're basically provoking a sort of a conversation, making people think about it. But like I said, it's one of these things. You're always going to get people that they have certain expectations from certain channels. But as I've never reviewed a game in my life on my channel. I just load it up and play them, and half the time I don't even know the buttons, whatever. But if you want to know how to play games, as you say, there's far better channels than mine to go and look at. But just interesting, you were mentioning in Discord about, were you thinking about maybe making some content yourself? Is that something you'd think about?
Well, the reason I was playing Gyrus is that it was something that I thought would be quite simple to go, look, I'm going to play Gyrus. I'm going to play this version of it, and then this version of it, and then this version of it. I was going to get some magazines out and go, this version in this magazine got this review, these graphic, this graphic sound playability, do them all. And then I was just going to go up to the end and say, do you know what? Arcade perfect? Probably not. Fun? Yes. At the time? Yes. Now it's something to look at from a historical point of view. Will you think that this is the best thing since sliced bread? No, you won't. It's just a thing in history. The reason why I like it, the reason why I don't like it, and then that was it. That was all I was going to do. And I thought, well, I could probably write a script for that. I could definitely get the emulators or the machines out and start doing some capturing. I'll start thinking about how you capture, do some voiceovers on the top of it, and then go, hey, not bad. Or at the worst case scenario, I could do the videos, give them to somebody else and say, here's some footage, put some voices over the top of it. There you are. You don't even need to do any gameplay on it. You've got some stuff there. Here's all the different versions. Use it how you want, just like a toolkit, really. Yeah. So that was what I was going to do this week, and I've played them and haven't recorded a thing because I was just playing them. I didn't get around to doing anything else. So,
feel free. I mean, making content. Watching videos and making content are two different things. Obviously, when I'm doing a Friday Waffle, I'm just talking to a screen. But when you're consuming the content, it's completely different, But it's equally as fun. I've always had quite a creative. That may be debatable. I've always liked to do things. My dad was he was a plumber to trade, but he was a historian as well. He wrote a lot of books and he had his own website and all that. And I think I've kind of got that from him. I like just making things, and it's it is an interesting thing. It's maybe not everybody's cup of tea, but no, it's maybe something you should think about. But saying that, and I'm not wanting to be selfish, but if you ever wanted to do an arcade perfect and you wanted to cobble together all the versions and then bring it across to me, I'll quite happily.
Well, that's what I mean. There are some people, and this happens in programs as well, people that do all the research and then they give all of that research to somebody else and say, there you are, make that golden. I like the research part. I like going around, searching about it, researching, finding everything about it, where it came from, where it ended up, how many sales there were for it, doing all of the content for it. Sitting in front of a camera and possibly talking about it scares the willies out of me. So I was just thinking, well, do you know what? Another one off the bucket list. I did a video and I published it on YouTube. Never done anything like that before. So in my week off, I was just thinking, hey, there's a little pet project for you to do. Trouble is, things came along and I just didn't get around to doing it. But I've had some great fun playing it. Yeah. You know what I mean? So.
But no, seriously, if you genuinely want to maybe help me out with some stuff, because you can probably tell it's kind of bizarre. I live on my own now, but I seem seem to have less time to make videos. I don't know why. I can't think for the life of me why. I think maybe because time's my own now. I'm a bit more selfish with it. I don't know. Because one thing that I have definitely been lacking is just making run of the mill videos. It's easy to do streams. And don't get me wrong, streams are fantastic fun. They're certainly more fun for me because I've got somebody to interact with rather than just talking to the screen. But as much as I don't make content, I do it for me because I enjoy it. The minute I stop enjoying YouTube, then I'll just give it up. Simple as that, because it should be fun. It's just a hobby. It's a bit of fun for me. But there's always a core of people that watch my channel, and you want to try and cater for what they came along. People who probably started watching my channel 2-3 years ago didn't watch it for live streams because I wasn't doing them back then. It was God knows why, but Arcade Perfect my arses. And when I look at my playlists, I mean, I must have about bloody 50 different types of videos. And I thought, I've not done that one for a long time. I've not done that one for a long time. And every now and again, I'll need to do one of these. But the problem seems to be is some of them. I mean, the one video I've been working on for about 3 weeks. I don't know if you've seen any of them. That was the year that was, where I basically, I did like. That was the year that was Arcade 1982, 1983, 1984. I look at the top 10 films. When I say look at, I put a picture and I say Jaws, Top Gun, and then I look at the top 10. And I also do the what was current in the news that year. I quite enjoy making these ones, and then I do the top 10 best-selling songs. And then what I then do is I just look at the games that I remember. So I'm in the process of doing one for the Commodore 64. That webcam keeps slipping down. I keep slouching at my seat. I've been working on it for the last 3 weeks. I think I'm about 2 hours into it, and I think I'm up to the letter G. So it's going to be about a 4 or 5 hour behemoth. Like, bloody hell. And see how they do voiceovers. What I tend to do is, I mean, if I can be bothered, I'll play a game and I'll do a voiceover, because that way you're actually reacting in real time. But sometimes it's easier just to record the games, and then later on I'll have like 2 hours of footage to watch, and I'll just talk over it. So that's what I've kind of been doing just now. So I mean, I'm 2 hours. It's taken me all these hours to basically put together 2 hours of this, and I'm not even halfway through. So what am I trying to say with this? Yeah, it's some of these. You wouldn't believe the amount of time it actually takes to put some videos together. Doing a live stream, the Sunday night live stream, is probably my favourite video that I do. It's piss easy, as long as I'm on time, and that's it.
Well, it's the thing I look forward to on a Sunday, because it's just so relaxing. It's like, oh, right, we're going to go and do this. And sometimes if there's a format to it, that's great. It's just that then I know what's coming up. So sometimes it's not. So I think when you said, I think we'll do a free-for-all next time, just to mix it up a bit, we can come back to this, do Amstrad or whatever it is.
Right.
That's great, because you're still mixing it up. You're still going back, and you always end with China Minor. Brilliant.
I think I'd be floored to death if I didn't play that game.
But
have you ever tried it, by the way, though?
Yes, I got to back in the day, and I wrote down actually what levels I got to. Back in the day, I used to write down a little book, a game, and then how far I got in it, and I got to level 8.
Wow, that's good going. Bloody hell!
So,
have you tried it since?
No, I've seen you play it, and I'm just going, I'm just getting. But I've got an idea for you now. I don't know if you've answered my question today in the waffle. So,
no. What I was going to do, since you've bloody interrupted my waffle, you can give me answers as well. So.
Okay. So when you get to the,
were you going to answer your question? Yeah.
Well, no, but it's sort of along those lines. So I'm going to keep it to the back, and then I'll talk about it if you get it out. Yes. So
anyway, listen, what we'll do is we'll just batter straight on with the questions from last week. Now, obviously, thanks to yourself, Del, you did. I hit a brick wall about 4 weeks ago. I started talking, and I was talking away, and and I just stopped, and I'm like, I'm not feeling this at all. The tank is empty. And I suppose I should be pretty pleased the fact that I've been making a waffle every week since, I think, when did I start? I think it was either the very end of 2013. So I've been making waffles for about 7 years, and I think there's maybe only been 2 or 3 weeks that I've not done one. So I mean, that's 7 times 52. That's a lot of waffles.
Well, take it like this: I'd be 15 stone heavier than I actually am already if I was to eat all them waffles. So,
so it's and the thing is well, a lot of the questions that Down the Rabbit Hole asks me, Kevin, he'll ask me about current stuff, and I can never really answer it because I don't go on and look at, well, let's have a look at the latest PlayStation 5 news. I'm not interested. I couldn't care. I'm really not interested in modern stuff. I don't even look at. I mean, I watch, but the most gaming stuff that I do is I'll watch other YouTube channels, and even that's quite limited, because I do want to keep kind of content coming. But yeah, anyway, so what we'll do is we'll just batter straight on with kicking things off. We've got Yoldy Gamer Steve, another fine waffle sir question. What one part of retro gaming do you not miss in the least? What one part of retro gaming do you not miss in the least? Mine would be dial-up and bulletin boards, as before the internet. I used to pay per minute to connect to a BBS, and even downloading a 1 or 2 megabyte file would take ages, and most of the times it would fail and I'd have to start again. The wife was livid at her phone bill. Yeah, I can remember that. Did you have a C64, Dale?
Yes, yeah.
Yeah. Did you ever have CompuNet at all?
Yep.
You did?
I was on the bulletin boards, yep.
I'm going to say, there's the questions up there. Yeah, I'm going to be saying, I'm just going to expand this. There we go. So it's because I had the window kind of small. The wife was livid at her phone bill that rocketed to 5-6 times its usual amount. I do not miss that at all. So what part of, and I never like the word retro gaming, because you don't, if you went to watch I don't know, Gone with the Wind or Star Wars, you don't say I'm going to watch a retro film. It's just a film.
Yeah.
And I look at a Commodore 64 game as just a video game, but I suppose to make it easier for people to understand, when you refer to retro gaming, they automatically think, well, 8-bit, 16-bit, whatever. Is there any one part of, we'll go for the 8-bit, that you don't miss at all?
I know you've thrown this at me, and I'm going, do you know what? Now I know how you feel. It's like, how the hell in 15 seconds am I going to think about what's the thing about retro gaming that I don't miss? That's things have gone out of my mind. To answer his question, I totally get what he's talking about, because I remember how much it cost. I remember that I got disconnects. I remember when I was living at my parents', they'd turn around and say, I want to use the bloody phone. Get off the damn thing. And I remember I was trying to download stuff, and basically it would not download all of it, and you'd have to start again, and it cost an absolute fortune. Anybody that remembers the early days of having a PC and using AOL will tell you just how expensive it was. It was almost like you're dialing America to get what you want, But it's not really gaming, that, is it? Is there something about in the past that didn't really work for you? So when we're talking gaming, I
suppose, yeah, I mean, you're talking about that. I had the modem from a C64, although that was, it was expensive and all, and it was unreliable, whatever. But that was still an exciting time. I still look back with rose-colored spectacles, and that was a really exciting time. Everything was brand new, Yeah. Well, tell you what, to let you come up with an answer. I mean, I suppose for me, what didn't I like about the early days? I mean, I suppose you could say the cost factor, because now I think video games have never been as cheap as they'll ever get. I mean, they're that cheap, to the point that people now, you know, if you buy a game on Steam and it's $15.99, you're like, bloody hell, 50. People want things for pennies, and that's why I think mobile phone gaming really kind of, it just sucked the blood out of the industry, because people, you know, people want a game either for free, or if it's like, you know, £1 or 99 pence, that's fine, they'll pay that. But if a game's $4.99, I think that's ridiculous. But I wouldn't say that was a thing that I disliked about the old days.
So let me think. I mean, I don't miss not typing in a game from a magazine. I don't miss that one bit, because half the time I swear they did this to annoy, and that is they've altered one line so it never worked. So you type the damn thing out and it took you all day, and then it didn't work, and
then you had to buy next month's magazine to get the correction. Oh, by the way, that 2 should actually be a 1.
So I don't miss that one bit.
I'm trying to think. I mean, you could say, well, the graphics were crap and the sound was crap, but that was what it was. It was all, I mean, I don't think I'll ever get that high that I got when I first got a well, that time I first saw Space Invaders in my local sports centre. You know, this ominous thudding, doop, doop, doop. You're like, what the hell's this? And there's a group of people, and you're trying to peer over, and you're like, this is amazing. You'll never get that high, and then getting a computer. When I first got my Commodore 64, just having it in the house. I've got an arcade in my house. It was amazing. So although it was quite basic, that was an exciting time. But I can't think of any. I suppose, you know, if your C64 stopped working, you had you wouldn't dream of opening it up to try and fix it, because, you know, it was £200, and £200 back in 1985 was a shed load of money. But I don't know. I can't really think. I suppose, I don't know. I was going to say, you know, before magazines came along, that, you know, you either your mate would tell you, oh, that game's good, or that game is shit, and you didn't buy it. But a lot of times I would go along in the local computer shop, and you'd pick up a tape, and you would look at the back, and it wouldn't even have graphics. It would just have like a picture of, you know, a spaceship on the front, and you think, well, that looks good. And some days you bought it, and you loaded it, and it was absolute shit. But was that a thing that I didn't like about the industry? I don't know. I'm genuinely struggling to come up with something that I disliked about. If you asked me what was good about it, I could rhyme off 20 different things. The fact that there was, you know, I love the fact that there was Commodore 64s, there was Ataris, there was VIC-20s, there was the Dragons, there was the Spectrums, there was Amstrad, there was the BBCs. It was all these different computers, and it was all so exciting. There was computers coming out every other day. Now I could let you see a game and say Xbox One or PlayStation 5, and you wouldn't be able to tell me what it was.
Yeah,
they're just generic. So when I'm talking over you there, is there anything you can really? I'm struggling to think of anything that I didn't like.
I think there's a positive and a negative to just about everything, and I always look at the positive. Even though I learned at a very early stage that programming isn't something that I'm particularly great at or want to learn, because languages is just something I'm not great. You got to look at the positives and say, hey, I had a try and I got something to work, and I move on. So yes, is there stuff about the past that I really, really hated? Yeah, my machine breaking and having to wait 5 weeks or something to be able to get it fixed or get it back. A game that my friend had has got a better version than what I've got. A game that would load for me but wouldn't work for somebody else. They're all positives, because basically you then found ways to get it to work, or, you know, you borrowed it from somebody else and then they became your best mates, and so everything then turns into a positive. So
I mean, what Steve actually says here is, what do you not miss in the least? I suppose you could say, well, the unreliability of loading a game, possibly.
Yeah, I don't miss. You see, I could have turned around and said, I don't miss the waiting time for loading a game, but on a Commodore 64, we were listening to tunes. Now, I could turn around and say, actually, I don't miss that on the Spectrum. What were you doing? You saw bars, lots of screeching, you saw a nice picture come up. It still took loads of time to load, and basically, that was boring. So, but for a Commodore 64 owner, actually, there was something quite exciting to look forward to from a certain year.
Yeah, loading games. I mean, people are so impatient nowadays. You just want instant. People exaggerate. Oh, it was 20 minutes to load a spec. What the hell? It was 5 minutes or 4 minutes, whatever. That didn't bother me. It's like anything. You know, what you don't know doesn't hurt you or whatever. If you've never had, you don't miss it. So a game taking 5 minutes to load. So what? You plugged it in, switched it on, run, stop, start, whatever it was, put the kettle on, came back through. One thing that I do miss, I'll tell you, I'm kind of changing it, turning Steve's question on its arse. One thing that I loved about the old days of gaming was I would put a game on and then I would put my records on. I was massively like Howard Jones, Marillion. I would just play. You know, you only had maybe 10 albums, and you would just play music. Whereas I would never think of putting an album on and playing a PlayStation 5 game. You would just, or whatever, PlayStation 4 game. You always just listen to music. So I loved that the music from the 80s go hand in hand with my video games.
Yeah. I miss the diversity, I think, is the thing about, for me, is that back in the day, I could get a shoot 'em up one week. I could get the next thing that was everybody was talking about was a platform game. The next week it was this. There isn't that type of excitement and buzz. They're all much of the same. So I miss that. Because every week there would be more than just one. There would be like 15 titles across all these different machines. It was an exciting time. That's the thing. It was an exciting time.
And I think part of what made it exciting as well was, yeah, you know, I always I didn't ridicule the Spectrum, but I really did think the Spectrum looked like a toy compared to my C64. My mate had a Spectrum, I had the C64, and I was never interested in playing his Spectrum. I would go to his house and I would watch him playing it. And he'd go, "Do you want a shot of it?" No, it's all right. Whereas we would play 2-player games on the C64. But there was something good. Yeah, I'd go along the computer club, and there was always the one guy with the Atari, and he would be playing like Stealth. And I was always envious because his Stealth was so much better than the C64. So there was always the odd game that you saw on somebody else's computer that you thought, that's great. But you had no way of ever playing it because you simply couldn't afford to buy more than one computer. You only had one system, and you just had to kind of look on with envy. But that was exciting, seeing other systems and other games, and you go to John Menzies, and you know, it was always, what were the games that always had running on the Spectrum? You always had not back to school. What was it called? School Days. That was one that was always on my local John Menzies. There was, do you remember Gyron, the one that was like big, massive balls that roll about a maze? Gyron, yep. That was one. The early days, it was Bugaboo the Flea. I think because that had the kind of intro where it jumps.
Yeah, you landed on a planet, didn't you?
Aye. The Commodore 60. I'll need to do a video with that, actually, games that featured in John Menzies. The C64, Ghostbusters was one of them. That was always getting played. Do you remember Mr. Mephisto?
That rings a bell, but I don't remember it. I can't think.
It's quite it's a bizarre game. It's you're actually trying to escape hell, and you've got these devils that are trying to lure you into the sort of fires of hell. But again, it had it was quite an impressive looking game, and it had a sort of demo mode. So that one was always a demo. I'm trying to think of any other games that were always featured. But yeah, these ones, yeah, I've just come up with a new idea for a video, so that's what I need to do. Games what featured in John Menzies.
But I'll tell you what, the only thing, and this is me being lazy, I don't miss the 5-mile walk to go and get a game, then walk back home, find it didn't work, and then do the 5-mile walk back there to get it swapped over so I got a working game. I don't miss that. Because I didn't have a bike, I couldn't drive. And the local computer store was 5 miles away. Yeah, I don't miss that.
But there was something brilliant about, you know, getting the cassette and you'd read it through and you, I can't wait to play this. And 9 times out of 10 it was disappointing. But yeah, or you got home and it didn't work. I always remember Cavalon by Ocean. I actually liked the game. I think I think it was about 3 versions I had to get before it eventually started to work. Yeah, but anyway, Steve, thank you very much for the question. Right, moving on down the rabbit hole for the Friday Waffle. Alan, when you were a younger gamer, did you ever wish something in the gaming world would be made only to see it come to light as though you predicted the future? Over to you, Dale. What do you think?
Oh, what? Oh, come on.
Right,
So something in a game that actually you liked and actually did turn up. You're a bit like just like in Star Trek, the communicator turned into a phone. Okay.
I mean, he's not saying an actual game, but what he's saying here is when you were a younger gamer, did you ever wish something in the gaming world would be made only to see it come to light? I suppose possibly for me, it was always the thought that you could actually like play a Commodore 64 game in your hand was just like, I remember it was 2003. I was down at this, it was part of like Lamasoft. They had this Lamasoft forum and we all met up. And, I was on this forum, went down, met Jeff Minter and all these guys. And this guy, what was his name? Motley. He had this thing. He had this thing, and it was a handheld, and I'd never seen it before. What the hell's that? And then he proceeded to load up bloody Bruce Lee in the Commodore 64. And I'm like, what is this? How is this possible? Just seeing the little blue screen on this thing was just mind blowing. And suppose the other big thing for me is I never imagined it would ever be possible, but if somebody told me back in 1985, one day, probably 20 years in the future, when you're no longer 18, you're going to be able to play Galaxian on a computer. I mean, the internet, I had no grasp of. It still blows my mind that I can email you a game, or the fact that, as I keep mentioning, the fact that I can have my entire game collection on that. How is that? But how can 20,000 games go into that?
Yeah,
that's ridiculous. How can an arcade game go into that thing? But that doesn't really answer Kev's question. Is there anything you could think of that you thought, wouldn't that be great?
It's exactly the same. Emulation, I think, has probably been the biggest eye-opener for me. Back in 1998 or whatever it was, when somebody turned around and said, you can actually have the whole machine on your computer and you're going to be playing it. You even have to press a button to put the coin in. It is that accurate. I'd have gone, there's no way that's ever going to happen. Oh, and by the way, when we do bring it out, there's going to be 1,000 odd games that this thing's going to be able to do. And then it bumped up to how many of 1,000 it is now. That just about takes the biscuit. I mean, that's probably the biggest thing for me that I thought would never happen, and it happened. You've got the arcade at home, and it didn't mean that you had to have a big machine that was going to cost you a fortune, and then it would only be that one game. You've actually going to be able to have everything, and it's that word, everything. It's there.
Yeah. I mean, it was so ridiculous that you wouldn't have even. It wasn't something. I mean, what was it? Was it Steve Jobs said that he was able to predict what we wanted before we knew we wanted it. So nobody ever said to me in 1985, "Oh, do you think you'll ever?" Because when you had a Commodore 64, that was a computer. I put a cassette in. So somebody said, "Oh, do you think?" You never ever imagined that a computer would really change. You always just thought, well, it might be a Commodore 64 and it have slightly better graphics, whatever. You could never have imagined in your entire lifetime that you would be able to. You walk into an arcade in Blackpool, and you've got all these machines. And so he says, well, in 20 years' time, you're going to be able to play all these. It's not just an exact replica. It is the arcade game. That game you will be able to play in your living room. Well, don't be so ridiculous. And the fact that we've got the entire arcade, every arcade in the world on that.
Well, it was an eye-opener for me because back in 1985, I used to live near an Army Air Force base. It was an American one, and they have what they call the BX Center. It's a leisure center where they do bowling and stuff. And my friend actually worked on repairing the arcade machines. So we went there, and it was great because you had to change your money into dollars, and you could buy some fries for $1. And it was that he said that's about 20 pence. I went, Jesus Christ! And no wonder people are big and hefty. Anyway, he opened up the side of this machine, and it was empty. I was going, bloody hell! I mean, he said, yeah, the most electronics is the coin bit where you put the coins in. That's the most complex part of the whole thing that you have to repair. And I was going, so when you're talking about, oh look, I've got this little thing and it controls the whole game, and you look at the file sizes in MAME and you see Outrun is like 64K, and you go, Christ, my calculator had more than that. You're just going, what was that big machine for? I mean, it must have been just for powering the telly, because that's about all there is in it.
You wanted to open it up, and you wanted to see this gigantic Cray computer powering Space Invaders.
Well, it was like, The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe. You thought when you opened the wardrobe, you didn't, you've expected to see a big land. There's Narnia, right? You opened it up, it was air. That's all that was in there.
Yeah. Secondly, I see some tinkerers are making it possible to hook up old computers like the Mega Drives to a Nintendo Switch. Wait a minute. I see some tinkerers are making it possible to hook up old controllers like the Mega Drives to the Nintendo Switch. Right, and I was wondering if that would be preferable to play with as opposed to the Joy-Cons. Yeah, I mean, I'm not one of these insufferable snobs or pain in arses that go, oh, emulation's not real, you're losers. And I mean, I get criticisms for making videos. Oh, you use an emulator, you don't use real hardware. I don't give a shit. It works for me. However, I do have a lot of original machines, and the reason I do like playing them is I've got a nice widescreen monitor here, I've got my PC, I've got my mouse, etc., and I can sit and play Commodore 64 games and record them and do whatever it is. But it doesn't really feel like the full experience because I'm sitting in front of a white desk with a monitor. Whereas if I go and sit down there, I can load up my computer. I've got my C64 and play it, in a CRT. And most importantly, I'm using the proper joystick. And to me, that is the difference between playing on a real machine or emulators. Using that, which I do use, it's fine, but it just doesn't feel right. So if I could, I think it's all about the controls for me to give that authentic experience.
Yeah, but there is a thing for me on this. I had a Wii, like a lot of people did. I still had my GameCube, and you could put GameCube controllers inside the Wii, and you could actually play GameCube games on the Wii. How many times did I get the GameCube controller out and plug it into the Wii? Hardly ever. Now, that's either me being pure laziness, or, well, I wasn't really that interested in whether I could for having that authenticated feel about it. If they'd actually reprogrammed the Wii remote so that you could play the game on that and it worked equally as well, then I wasn't upset about it. So yes, I do go for an authentic feel, and it's all about the controls and everything. But if they make it workable and you can work on it, as a game with that controller, and you can learn a new way of doing it, I'll probably just learn the new way because I'm just too lazy to find the controller and plug it in usually. So it's all about laziness. I mean, we've all become lazy. I remember the first time my parents bought a TV with a remote. I mean, that was the laziest. In fact, actually, that's probably caused more heart attacks than anything. to actually get off your backside and press the one button so you can put BBC One on is unheard of, isn't it? I mean, but there we are. There we had a magic wand that did it all. There you are. So is that bad that I use the remote, or that I tell Alexa to turn my telly? Oh, sorry, I used that word. I've just gone and told everybody now.
Oh, that's what it means. It's switched off.
So yes, I am for authenticity, and I do it when I can, but it's not the end all and be all for me.
Yeah. What would be to kind of take? We'll go back to Steve's or something. In fact, Steve was asking about the things we do miss. If somebody said to you, right, Dale, what do you want in 10 years' time? What do you want your home entertainment system to be like? What would you ask for? What would you want?
I think you answered it beautifully the other day. I mean, basically, I just want to be able to sit in front of something, choose whatever I want that's on there, whether it be VR, 3D, and basically it then comes on and does it. And then you've only got the one remote, or you're using verbal commands to control everything that you want, and there you are. I mean, but that's just pure science fiction, isn't it? That will become something that will eventually happen.
I think we're pretty much there. You've got a retro Pi that plugs into your TV. You've got all these things, and it's I mean, I don't know whether you'd ever actually get that, because 99.99% of the population have no interest in the Commodore 64, or it's just the little niche people. But yeah, that would be nice, and that's why even VR. I mean, you're talking about laziness. I've got the VR for the PlayStation, and you know what? I couldn't even tell you the last time I switched it on. It sits there, and I just can't be bothered lifting it out and putting it on my head because it's got wires, and that's obviously way too much hassle.
Yeah, it's that word that you taught me. I think faffing. It's too much faffing about. Put it all over my head, and all of this, and got to turn this box on and this box on, and then I've got to center the damn thing so that basically I'm all around. And I'm just by the time I've got to that, I don't want to play the damn thing. Fed up now. And it is exactly like that, really.
Yeah. So anyway, as far as Kev's talking about connecting up an old controller, have you got a Switch or anything? What's your kind of latest? What's your most modern console?
Yeah, I've got a Switch. I've got a PS4. I've got a Xbox One. I think I said to you the other day that I bought this little handheld, and that was the first thing I've bought that's not a major product, that I just wanted to have a little play with. Everybody was buying these cheapo. I mean, it was actually one of your streams where you said, "Oh, I've got this little controller and it's great, and it only cost about £60 odd. I can't remember the name of it." So I thought, oh, okay, well, I'm going to take a punt now. I'm going to buy this Pandora Mini. I think it's just here. There we are. And I'll see what it's like. And for £60, my God, nothing wrong with it. Is it the best thing in the world? No. Is there things out there that are so much better than it? Yes, and for a lot more money. Have I got as much enjoyment out of this thing as I probably would have? Probably more, because it cost me less. And if I broke it, I couldn't care less. So I go, it's throwaway. We've turned into a throwaway society. I think my manager said it best. If you need to buy ink cartridges for your printer, there's no point going out and getting the ink cartridges. Buy another printer; they're the same cost as the ink cartridges.
That's a good point, actually. That's not a bad point. You probably get a printer for about 20 quid or something, can you?
And they come with half-filled ink, and there you are. And it will cost you more to put the ink in it than it will to go out and buy another printer. So there we are. Throwaway society shown at its best.
Yeah. Anyway, and finally, if Panther UK is watching you, it's great to see his channel growing. But can you give him any wisdom, bloody hell, or advice on how to get more subscribers?
Oh.
I don't think there's no hard and fast rule. I mean, what I would say to anybody that wants to have a channel is you've got to pick something that you're genuinely interested in, be yourself, and that's about it. You can't, if people see that you're genuinely interested in what you're talking about and you come across as a nice enough person, but technically you don't have to come across as a nice person. There's plenty of people that are probably arseholes that have got lots of subscribers, but if people can see you're interested, I mean, how many, if you're, I don't know. Yeah, I think if people can see that you're interested in what you're talking about and you come across with likability, then I think people are going to watch. As far as getting more subscribers, I mean, don't even. It's something you've got no control over at all. I think technically that's not true. I mean, a few people have said to me, and I know that myself. If I started calling my videos, my playlists, proper names, like instead of calling it the Friday Waffle, you know, the weekly retro gaming chat, or instead of an 8-bit face-off kerfuffle, I called it Commodore 64 versus Spectrum Manic Miner, or Arcade Perfect My Arse. I called it what was the best arcade version of Berserk. You know, but that's not me. That's not what I'm about. I call it stupid things. Blimey, it's only. Instead of saying interview with Gary Liddon of Zap, blimey, it's only Gary Liddon. You know, I've never done this for money. I'm never going to make any money out of it. You know, don't never ever start a channel to make money. I mean, my daughter, she's right into cosplay. She's 16. She's right into cosplay. She does all this stuff. She's on Instagram, and she's got something like 20,000 followers. And I keep saying to her, I says, you know what? I says, because she keeps wanting, oh, you know, have you got some money, Dad? I says, see if you start a video channel, start a YouTube channel. I says, because she's good at art, she's good at drawing. I says, if you make a video of you dressed up as whatever character out of whatever, I say that is the target market. That's the target market. I made a comment. There was somebody on a forum. I can't remember what somebody was talking about YouTube and saying, "Oh, there's no money." I sort of said, "Oh, there's no money to be made unless you're extremely lucky." And this guy says, "Oh, my pal's kid, he's 12. He's got 1.2 million subscribers." And I went, "Yeah, really? What's his YouTube channel? 2.5 million subscribers." This wee guy is he's like 14 years old, and he eats food and he plays Minecraft, and that is people. My daughters don't watch BBC One; they watch YouTube. You know, and that's so. You know, unless you're 14, forget making money. You know, how do you grow subscribers? Pick something that you're genuinely interested in. Be yourself. Try and come up with something a wee bit different. I mean, I'm always trying to come up with different things. Some of them work, some of them don't work. But it's about you've got to enjoy the process of making videos.
Yeah.
You know, and sometimes just going through the emotions, you know, oh, review this game or review that game, it just becomes dull. So just be yourself and, you know, pick something that you're genuinely interested in.
I think you said it best, basically, which is you've got no control of subscribers. They'll either watch you, subscribe, or whatever. I mean, I get fed up of the beginning where it says, "Oh, hit that subscribe button, hit that like, do this alert," all that sort of stuff, and they all say it right at the beginning. And here's our sponsor. It just drives me nuts.
Yeah,
and I think YouTube will basically turn all of the small people away, because that's all they want at the moment is the people that make them revenue, and the adverts are just going over the top. But so is your daughter wanting to do a YouTube channel, did you say?
I don't think so. I don't know. She has got a YouTube channel. I don't think she uploads any content.
Is that because I mean, if she was, is she thinking about doing like, here's how to make the costumes and stuff? Is that?
Oh yeah, she's fantastic at drawing. I mean, she's done a couple of these. I don't know if you've watched any wee Bob's videos. Bob's unbelievable at drawings. It's fantastic. He does these like, you know, it's like a sort of fast forward him drawing it, and it's amazing. She's good at drawing. She makes her own costumes. She buys these Monster High dolls, and then she sort of customizes them into like manga and all that kind of stuff. And you know, she's really creative, and people love that. I mean, like you're talking about, you know, and it always makes me smile, and it makes me really happy when people say, "Oh, the highlight of my weekends, the Friday, like the Sunday stream," and you're like, how can that be? But I do get it. I totally get it, because there's something really nice about watching somebody who you kind of you feel you know, and it's just, I think because like I'm just a normal bloke, and the people that I watch are normal people, and it's like watching your mate playing a game sat next to him and he's just reacting. There's no script. We're real people, you know, and I do understand that, because like Steve Benway, he was the first guy. Do you watch Steve Benway's channel?
No.
Don't know. Steve's definitely worth watching. Steve is one of the original, I hate that phrase, retro gamers. He's been making content since about 2000. Lovely guy. He's ridiculously shy. He's very shy. I met him a few times. A really, really nice guy. And he's open and honest, and that's what he had a thing called the Friday Talkie. And I used to look forward to the weekend, because I've got 2 long lies. But I used to look forward to Friday night. I'd go for my bath and I would watch Steve's Friday Talkie. And it was compulsive viewing. I used to really look forward to watching it. And I was absolutely gutted when one day he just said, no more. I've run out of things to talk about.
Yeah. And I think if there's one thing about subscribers that I would say, I think that your daughter's probably going to have a ball. That's the first thing. The second thing, I think she'll find it a little bit easier than you actually to get subscribers. If you think about it, she's going to go to conventions. There's going to be meeting her. There's going to be, have you got a channel? They'll basically subscribe when they're there. Where you've got the hardest job, because the only way that people know about you is word of mouth. They don't see you or anything. You're not going to conventions and getting yourself out there. Your face isn't on BBC One. So yours is all keyword and word of mouth and other avenues, which will nowhere be as good as meeting you. Mm-hmm. So there you are. So I think she's going to find it probably easier to get subscribers, I would say.
And I think as well as, if I started playing...
and she hasn't got a beard. So there you are. So instantly, she's instantly hookable onto a channel.
She was absolutely furious with me a couple of weeks ago. She phoned me and she said, "Dad, can you bring up my she's got different wigs, my cosplay wig, this blonde wig." So I went, "Hey, that's fine." I went in her bedroom and she's got this mirror, and I picked it up and I thought, I've got to. So I put it on. I was like that. I took a photograph and I put it onto Facebook. I couldn't resist it.
But, that's great.
But it's like I said, you've got to enjoy what you do. I mean, if I wanted, if views or subscribers was my thing, which some people seem to get completely hung up on, then I would be better stopping what I'm doing right now, and I should start playing Call of Duty and start swearing and playing Call of Duty and playing The Last of Us. I'm not interested in doing that. I would much rather, people want to see me playing China Miner.
Well, you wouldn't be you if you were doing that anyway. We know that that's not what you like. People who watch you know that you're not like that. So, and I'd be bored watching somebody shooting somebody in the head as they come round a corner anyway in a game. I'd get soon bored of it, so I'd just move on. So
I mean, the subscribers is. I've had this video. I've been asked that in the past. Are subscribers important? And it's yes and no. If it was no, that would mean that if I didn't have any subscribers and I wouldn't be bothered. Well, I mean, when I first started off making videos, I think after about a month, I had 3 subscribers. And I was getting like 2 views, and I kind of thought to myself, as much as I didn't start it, I started making videos just for me. Then the penny dropped after a couple of weeks, thinking, what the hell am I doing? Why am I going through the process of playing a game and uploading it onto YouTube? Nobody's watching it. Nobody even knows it exists. And then I thought, so I did actually. You can Google it. I did actually put a video saying. Just to let you know, I'm wrapping up the channel, and Brian C, who's his avatar's actually a Main Meister mug. Brian was one of the guys that bought one of my mugs, and he said to me, I'm gutted to hear that. I really enjoy your channel. And I'm thinking, well, there's only you and somebody else that actually watches it. But see, when somebody tells you that they like, you're like, how can somebody actually enjoy what I'm doing? Because I'm just shit. But that was it. That was enough for me. So yeah, subscribers it's basically it's a mark of how many people kind of know you exist. If that was 0 or 1, then I think you're wasting your time. I'm not in it for money. I mean, it's about again views. You could have, if you look at any channel, you could look at, is it PewDiePie? He's got like 100 million subscribers. I'll guarantee you look at any channel, probably 10% of their subscribers is the number of views they get. So I've got 3 just over 3,000 or something. So my videos average 300 views. So it's about 10%. So in other words, 90% of people don't watch my videos. You know what I mean? That's the reality of it. But I think I'm very fortunate because I go into the live stream, and I mean, I love that part. I get the little intro going, and I just sit and I look at the comments, and I see Panther saying "Evening, gents," and Steve, "Oh, evening, how you doing?" I'm sitting here like that. I could just go live now, and fuck it, I'll let them wait for it. It's like standing at the back of the stage, looking behind. It's gradually filling up, but it's wonderful that. I think and I'm not trying to big myself up, but I don't think there's many people that make YouTube channels where they have such a close relationship or friendship with their subscribers. The fact that you're on just now and we've got all these guys, there's probably, I don't know, 15, 20 regulars who we all know each other. And as I keep saying, anybody that wants to come on to one of these things are more than welcome to come on. And yeah, possibly if I was trying to do this for money, then I'm possibly restricting myself by, when I'm looking at the people, I'll go, "Oh, how you doing, Dale?" or "Hi, Craig," whatever, and I try and know people's names. And somebody who comes along for the first time finds my video and they'll see this guy talking, "Oh, hi, Robert and Fred," and they'll, no, that's like, it's almost like a wee clique, and it's not like that. It's never going to be a clique, But I think it's just I think I'm very, very fortunate that I have made a lot of good friends, yourself included, Dale, through my channel, because it might be called Mainmeister, but at the end of the day, I look upon it as it's for all of us. You know what I mean? I'm the bloody ugly face at the back, the front of the camera most of the time, but when we've done the 12-hour live stream, it's just a laugh. We're having a laugh. And the fact that we raised £1,000 for 3 charities, bloody hell! What other charities? What other YouTube channels do that? I go in, I watch some channels, and all you see is somebody's donated £10. Oh, thanks, thank you. Somebody's donated £5. Oh, thank you. I mean, that's fair play. I mean, I'm not going to name any names, but there was one particular person who his graphics card broke, his motherboard broke, and he actually did a GoFundMe. Can you please give me money for a new motherboard? And he got the money, and I'm like, oh, sorry, that's not me. People have given me money in the past, and I'm just charity, because that's not how I work. Not interested in it, I wouldn't be comfortable with it. But yeah, if you're going to do a YouTube channel, just be yourself. Talk about things that you're genuinely interested in. So yeah, to get back to subscribers, subscribers is important. If you had none, then it would be pointless doing it, unless of course you just enjoy the whole creativity of making videos. That keeps sliding down. There we go. It's like getting further and further down. I noticed when I was doing the Sunday streams, we're like, "We can't see you." Oh shit.
I've got a quick question for you, because I've always wanted to ask you a question, because I'm like Parky. Now, you said about your videos and you did it just for you. A bit like an actor, that looks back at their work. Have you actually looked at some of your work, and can you remember what you were doing and the sights and sounds when you were doing that video? So if you were looking at something like 400 episodes ago, a waffle from 2012, say, and you looked back at it, could you remember and go, "Do you know what? I know what I was doing there. Oh, I remember that." Does that come into your head?
Sometimes when I start watching, I mean, what I have done in the past is I don't really go back, and I don't really watch my content. Right. As you probably know, because some days I'll start talking and I'll go cut, and then I forget to cut it because I don't. I used to always watch my things, but I will on occasion, if I'm maybe looking for inspiration, or if have I done an Arcade Perfect about, I don't know, Donkey Kong, I'll type it in and I'll watch it a wee bit. Or sometimes I'll just out of curiosity, I'll jump into a waffle from 4 or 5 years ago, just to see what I was talking about, and I think to myself, well, I could talk about that this week, because the stuff I talk about is based on the past. So whether I talk about it now or 4 years ago, it's still relevant. I would probably say no. I mean, if I watched a waffle from 4 years ago, I probably wouldn't really know what I was doing at any point in time. I don't think so. But when I watch the waffle or start watching it, I can sometimes remember what I was going to say. It's amazing. Although I've done 500 waffles or something, I can still remember them. But to answer your question, I don't. When I watch it back, unless something happened unexpectedly, I probably couldn't remember it. What is quite scary is, and I always think it's a good and bad thing. Well, it's probably a good thing. I mean, my daughter is not interested. None of my real life, when I say real life friends that I know actually have met in real life, sort of thing. None of them watch my channel, which is absolutely fine. But I always think to myself, when I go to the Great Arcade in the Sky, my daughter's going to be able to, if she wants to see, I miss my dad, she's got 500 hours of me talking. And I've sometimes thought about doing this. In fact, I did do a video a while back. When I start off the Friday Waffle, it's always like, okay, guys, welcome to the Friday Waffle. And what I did was I basically copied that from about 100 waffles. Okay, guys, welcome to the Friday Waffle. Okay, guys, welcome to the Friday Waffle. And it's just different baseball caps and haircuts and beards. And
so you're going to do a video that says, well, daughter, if you're watching this, it's from beyond the grave. And you're not going to do anything like that.
But I mean, I think it's again, as I've always maintained, I think what I do and what other people do, it's part of this. It's part of this industry. And years to come, when I'm long gone, if somebody was to stumble across my channel, if it still exists, it's a snapshot of time of what it's history. You know, and like I says, it's interesting to see. Well, when I watch my intro, I'm a hell of a lot young looking than I am now, and that's just since YouTube. You know what I mean?
Yep.
But good question. Anyway, Del. So right, I think that was down the rabbit hole. Thank you very much, Kev. Hang on a wee sec. I just need to expand this again. I can't really see it properly. Highlander. I'd say give Highlander another watch. All right, I was talking about the film. Yeah, if you get the chance. I remember the collaboration with Lacoza when he played Highlander. Great waffle as always. Funny you should mention Kim Justice. I used to like her videos, but unsubscribed recently. I much prefer the grassroots, i.e. shit, approach, hence why I prefer to watch yours, Lacoza, and John Gage's channel. Yeah, it depends what you prefer. If you want a professional channel, then Kim Justice. Have you watched Kim Justice's channel at all, Del?
Yeah, I've watched a couple of them. I don't really get on that well with them, to be quite honest. I think sometimes it comes across as forced. I was watching some the other day that she's doing this Amiga, the person, not she, he, the person is doing an Amiga from A to Z, and I think the person's got to about B or C, and they're on part 4. But it's just that there's all this money now going around saying, "Oh, welcome to this room," and it's all about wrestling, and there's all these little comments and then going on, and you see the game loading up, and it doesn't work, and there'll be a thumbs down or something, and I'm going, well, I don't get this now. It's not even fun. It's a bit scripted as well, so no.
I think that's, to be fair. I mean, I think Kim's videos are great. I mean, what I do like about her, she's not afraid to. I mean, she made one all about Keith Chegwin. He was apparently one of the first celebrities to have to do like online streaming. She's not afraid to kind of do stuff completely unique. So I am a big fan of her channel. But yeah, I'm an amateur. I do this in my spare time if I can be bothered. If I was getting paid, if I could do this full time, that would be a dream come true. It'd be fantastic.
Oh yeah.
Until the BBC realise that they need a new games master and they need they need another Scottish guy, then I think it will always just be a It'll always just be a hobby.
You don't think changing your name to Dominic then would get you further forward or something?
You never know. You never know. Anyway, Panther UK, another cracking waffle skipper. I would like PlayStation backwards compatibility just to have one box under the TV. Yeah. For the next waffle, talking of the gradual decline of the cinema and the rise of video games that are story-driven interactive movies, do you think at some point the lines will blur and they will become one and the same, although maybe not in our lifetime? Talking of the gradual decline of the cinema and the rise of video games that are story-driven interactive movies, do you think at some point, so what's he trying to say there, that cinema and games will just become one? Is that what he's saying?
Yeah, I think it comes from as well. I saw an interview once of Steven Spielberg where he turned around and said games will become the cinema of the future. He said the interaction part will take over and you'll be watching a film and living it. That's, I think, where that comes from. I think.
Aye.
I'm not sure.
I suppose like the closest, if I've got it right, what's it called? Black Mirror by Charlie Brooker, which if you've never watched any, they're brilliant. I've got a massive fan of him. That one that he had where it was on your TV and you could basically pick what road you went down, and it was quite an interesting thing. I mean, do you think we'll get to the stage where you go to the cinema? You and I go to the cinema together, and we're sitting there, but we're actually both our films differ because we're taking different paths. Do you think that will happen?
No, not in my lifetime. I think it's like what Panther said, but I do think another thing, an angle from what Panther's saying is that films have been around for 100 years. Games have not. Games is now making more money than films. The blurred line between what a film is and what a game is, with games now becoming more story driven, is that line going to remove, and movie and game will be virtually the same? Is another angle of looking at the question. And from that point of view, I think we're nearly there, because if you've been playing that game now, I think you've only played the first 20 minutes now for around about 6 months. So, yeah. And I think actually you said last week, I think you turned around and said it was 10 minutes. I went, what? You gone back in time and took 10 minutes away? No. But it is such a scripted game that it's actually a movie that you're playing, and that's that. And as we're moving that further forward, the graphics will just get better. They'll become more lifelike, and there you are. You're in an interactive movie, aren't you?
So, yeah, I don't know. I think it might well get down to that, but I prefer going to the cinema and just sitting and watching a film and just watching it for what it is. A game should be a game, and that's why. And Panther keeps saying that as well. He wants his games to look like blocky video games, or I want my games to look pixelated. I mean, it's fine playing games that just look, photorealistic, but the fact that the majority of my game playing is either my main cab or my C64, I'm always kind of, I prefer to be able to have a distinct difference. That's films, these are video games. But yeah, I dare say 20, 30 years time, probably even less than that, they probably will. They will be one and the same thing, I think. But thank you very much, Christopher. And 123 Hendy, hello sir, there is a SNK anniversary on the Switch. All right, yeah, I was asking about, is there any decent kind of old-fashioned games on the Switch? I'll need to check that one. Sandy Olia, good waffle, totally unoriginal question for you. What Commodore 64 game would you say had the worst artwork ever on the tape or disc box? Bloody hell. Well, one I can think of right away, and what I'm going to do, well, while you're thinking of yours, I'm going to see if I can actually find it.
I am thinking, you carry on. Go on.
No, I was just going to say, can you think of any that had particularly bad
one comes to mind, Ninja Scooter.
Ninja Scooter, let's see if we can. I think probably it's going to be early games, to be fair, because before we started putting the screenshots on them. Let me just find, there's one, and it was
a really bad one was Horace, wasn't it? I mean, it was just that blocky character on the front with Bugby at the top. And there you are. That's all you got on the front.
I've actually got I started up a Facebook page a couple of years ago. I don't think I've actually updated it since then, called The Worst Video Game Covers Ever. It's actually quite interesting. It's there's some real bad covers for games. Let me see if I can find this one. Yeah, this was the very first game. Let me find it. Extras, covers, discs, covers. There we go. Right, let me see if I can find it. Where? And this is by no means the worst, but it was certainly, this was the first game that I bought.
Looking forward to this.
Yeah, I don't want to disappoint. Where the hell is it? Come on. Oh, here we go. It's going to be there, almost there. There we go. Right, let's see if I can. Right, let's see.
I'll see this. Go on.
Let me have a look. How do we do this? Hang on, just need to move that. Share screen, and it's going to be ding.
Yeah, Decepticon crazy.
Crazy Kong.
Oh, yeah, that's.
I get the feeling that probably the guys that actually, I mean, back then, the guy would do the cover, he would do the graphics, he would do the coding, he would do the full shooting match. To be fair, there was a lot worse than that, but yeah, there was some absolutely beauties.
I mean, the bloke looks more crazy than the Kong, so.
I think I'd be more terrified running away for that guy. Actually, yeah.
Yeah, I would say that was pretty poor. I still think Hungry Horrors has got the worst one because it's just a picture of the character, pixelated, expanded out with just the company logo at the top. That was it. I remember that. I remember that from years ago.
Yeah, I mean, here's one here. Look at this. And this was what we had to. Basically, this was what made you decide to buy a game or not. Let's have a look. Crazy Caveman.
Oh.
You would pick that up and go, oh, Chris, that looks good. Look at it's got a dinosaur in it, you know.
That's Captain Caveman. I mean, for God's sake, yeah. It's just, yeah, it looks like they went to a primary school and said, draw me a caveman, and then just put it on the front cover.
I'm not quite sure why that miniature dinosaur is eating his pubis or eating his underarm hair. I don't know what that's going on there. Maybe that's why he's about to hit it with a hammer. But
there were no such thing as humans and dinosaurs together at the same time, so that's bloody wrong for a first.
It's clearly, yeah, it's clearly no thought is going on.
Yeah. It could be you if it was bold on the top. Yeah, that beard.
It could actually. That's a good point. Right, one last one before the insults keep on coming. I'll just take this one down, unshare that one, and
insults. Yeah.
Oops, a daisy. Hang on. One last one. Share screen, and yeah, I mean, would that make you want to go and buy that? Electric Boys Entertainment. Yeah, I can just imagine. If somebody saw that in your credit card statement, Electric Boys Entertainment. Oh yeah, what have you been buying? I've been buying a game called Chicken. Electric Boys.
What's the year of that? Does it say 1995 or 85?
1995. Jesus.
Oh, that's atrocious. And it says Electric Boys.
It's called Chicken. It's got a picture of chicken, and then it's got down the bottom there, crazy car crushing action. It needs to make its mind up.
Yeah, chicken. In other words, playing chicken with cars, but
possibly.
Yeah.
Anyway, yeah, enough. Whoops, I've just taken you out the stream there for a second deal. Right, good stuff.
Yeah, go and look up Ninja Scooter, everybody. All right, there you go.
Good, right. There was plenty real bad ones. Right, let's have a look. Another couple of questions to go. Right, here's one from Delboy. Can you remember what the question was? Hi, Mainmeister. In our chats, we talked about games that are simple and games so complicated they put you off. Name one game in the 8-bit era that was so complicated and convoluted that you bought it but only played it once or twice, and also a game you would like to go back to and retry because of its legend status. I think one game that instantly springs to mind was Alien by, was it Argus Press, I think it was. I loaded it up, and it is actually a good game. I've since played it, and it just, I had absolutely no idea what I was doing. Same way, if I had, fortunately, I never bought it, but if I had bought in V, I'd have just been like, I mean, I lose interest very quickly. If I can't get the game mechanics within the first 5-10 minutes, I just kind of give up.
Yeah.
Was there any games, turning it on yourself, any games, Dale, that you bought that you thought?
Well, the question came about because we were in that 12-hour stream, you were showing V, and I was going, I remember that game, and yes, by God, that pissed me off. Something chronic. And then, of course, I'm going to turn the question around in a moment and tell you an idea for you. But yes, but then 2 weeks ago, you were saying, oh, I didn't play Shadowfire because it was just too complicated for me to work out. And then I was thinking, yeah, and then there's Enigma Force, and there's one game that comes to mind, and that was Quake -1. And I remember buying that game, and I went, I have no idea what's going on with this. Zoids was a little bit like that, loads of icons, and yet all you're doing is actually controlling a square. That's all you're doing is controlling a square or a little cutout of something. But it was so convoluted. I'm going, this isn't fun. It's actually a simple game that they've overcomplicated. They've just blown it out the water. So here's that idea for you for something that you want to do. There are top 10 hard games. There are top 10 easy games. There are top 10 with graphics. Try finding and doing a search where it says the 10 most complicated games to play.
I think you've just named about 4 or 5 of them.
And I think you'll find that there isn't one person who's done a video of that.
Good stuff. Yeah, I will think of that one, absolutely. Yeah, I'm trying to think of any other games that. Tell you a game that I've never played that I always mean to try it just to see what it's like was Alter Ego on the C64. Do you remember that?
Yeah, it was all sort of like icony heads, wasn't it? And so forth. Got massive reviews. I did buy it. It was on disc, I think, when I was going to buy that. Like little computer people, it came around about the same time as all of those sort of things. I mean, I remember buying the 4th Protocol as well. It was all like a mystery type thing. But some games were just the control methods, or the book came like, I mean, we're not talking about a book that would make your chair less wobble. It came with a book that was like that, I mean, it'd actually be a shelf on its own. And I'm not talking flight simulators, because even flight simulators you got the hang of. I'm talking about games that were they overcomplicated it. It's just
and sometimes that ruined. I know Lacoza, he's a massive, every game that I hate he loves. I mean, he's a massive fan. He loves games where you've got to really get your teeth into. But there's been plenty. What was the other part of that question you were asking then, Dale?
I can't remember what you read out. A game that the game that you found too complicated back then, but you always wanted to go back to, I think, was the last bit, wasn't it?
We only played it once and twice, and also a game you would like to go back and retry. A game that, in other words, a game that I maybe dismissed at the time and would revisit it. I'm trying to think. There's been I don't want to put any spoilers, but there's been Lacoza and I did do a video. It was the last collab video we did, him and I did, and there was a few games that he had picked that were quite complicated ones, and I've since gone back. I'm actually we're still in the process of getting part 2 together, but basically the ones that he picked I had to play, and the ones that I picked he had to play. So he loved me for Super Pipeline 2 and amongst others.
I saw the Super Pipeline 2. I was going, I'm just thinking of Alan's face now while I'm watching this.
But yeah, I mean, there has been a few games. There's games that I'll talk about and I'll go, oh Christ, I want to play that one, and I always, by the time later on, I forget all about it. But I'm trying to think. There are probably some games. I mean, one game that that I tried to play and I just gave up, but I've since played it and I actually really enjoy it, is Gribbly's Day Out. I couldn't get the grasp of it at all. And then Laco's, I watched one of Laco's. I mean, look, we were talking about how I don't tell people how to play a game. Laco's puts out fantastic videos that does. He'll go into a lot of detail and tell you how to play them. So, you know, chances are if he's reviewed it, he'll give you a good idea of what the game's about. And I followed one of his videos, and since then I've enjoyed Gribbly's Day Out. It's a nice.
Yeah, Gribbly's Day Out is one of my actual fave games, but I didn't find that one too hard to not understand. That's just a game that I'm not very good at because the control method is probably a little bit, you know, it's got a little bit of inertia, like Jeff Minter likes to put in his games. But some of the games like Shadowfire and Enigma Force and the Sci-Fi Trading Company and all of those sorts of things, it's almost like you've got to get inside the head of the programmer and work out what the hell you got to do, and you got to learn the icons and all the controls and this screen and that screen and jumping back and forth. And by that point, you're just going, I just don't want to.
The game that's most kind of infamous, and you should try it, is Mama Llama by Jeff Minter.
Oh yeah.
If you can figure out how to play that game, then you're a better man than me.
I've actually, it's actually okay to understand. I mean, Lacoza said it best. It's actually got the on the side. There's a difficulty setting, and if you got these colours that basically are saying at the top that's major fret, and if you go down the bottom it says that's minor fret, you go to those ones and you just move the grid around so that you're playing that particular level, and until you've got yourself able to play the game. That's how you learn it. Yeah. That's the game.
I know Jeff Minter was very. I mean, Zap Magazine panned the game quite rightly so, in my opinion, because a game I've got a series where I talk about games that are broken, whatever. And a game, it's like Cauldron. Cauldron would be a fantastic game, but they've just made it so damn difficult. It's impossible. If they make a game too difficult or too convoluted to understand, then it's not fun. You're not going to. A game's got to be fun. It's got to have a. That's why I probably prefer most arcade games. They've got a quick hook. They're instantly the first level. Well, apart from Galaxian, you can usually get quite far in it. You know what left, right, fire button. There's no. You know exactly what you have to do, and you know that's why I will never review a game, because it's to play a game once for 5 minutes. See, that game's absolutely shit. And there are a few channels out there that will play a game once for 5 minutes and say it's the biggest pile of shit ever. That's unfair, unless the game is genuinely broken like Hexpert. But to dismiss a game because you've not read the instructions or you've not made the...
That was a fantastic video you did of that. I was going, oh my God, I didn't notice that myself. That is atrocious. That collision detection in that game and the lore behind... jumping from square to square. It was absolutely
what atrocious. I did was, after I actually made the video and I watched that video back, I then went onto YouTube and I just typed in Hexpert and I watched about another 5 videos of people playing it, and every single person said the same as me. It's just so broken that the fact that he didn't get the perspective right. So if the snake was behind you but up 4 levels, if they came into the same thing, then you died.
And I asked a question in that video about Minesweep. I said, have you got Minesweep too? Because Minesweep apparently is famous for having a crash at level 13 where it will crash. You can't get to level 1 again. It falls over.
Minesweep?
Yeah, on your Vectrex system, the game that comes with the system. Mindstorm. That's
Minesweeper was that game. Was Minesweeper not that game that came free with Windows 95?
Yeah, sorry. Yeah. So I haven't got a Vectrex, you see, and I only ever played one. So, but I was looking after your video. I went, other famous games that have got a massive bug that people, you know, and apparently that game is famous. And I went, and not many people have got the second version of it. You could actually send it back and get it.
They go for daft money. And
my question was, have you got it? Have you got the second game?
I wish. If anybody wants to give it to me, I will gladly take it off their hands.
There we go.
Good stuff. Anyway, Smash and Dale. Milthy Swinbuckle. Hello again, Mainmeister. Question for the next waffle. With people wanting new sports put into the Olympics, there's talk of snooker, darts, golf, MMA, etc. Why not add video games? So my question this week comes in two parts. Firstly, would you like to see video games in the Olympics? And secondly, if you had to pick the games for the competition, which games would you pick? Would I want to see video games in the Olympics? Personally, no, because I think I love watching athletics. You know, I really do. I'm not really big in football, but the Olympics to me is all about the athletics. It's about the physical, you know, seeing people push themselves, running 4-minute miles, and just the whole physical aspect. I think wonderful. Some of my favourite memories is sitting watching athletics with my dad in 1981, watching Steve Cram and Seb Coe and Steve Ovett on a Friday night, the Golden Mile, whatever. Absolutely fantastic. So, Olympics to me, you know, I wouldn't want to see video games in the Olympics. I mean, to take nothing away from, you know, some video games are real, you know, it's skilled. If you look at, there's a video at Street Fighter 2, and it's in Japan. They're still massive. There's professional video game players, and there's a video of a guy, I think he's playing Chung-Li, which is the bird, and then this other guy, I don't know what character he's playing, and Chung-Li was basically down to her last bit of health, and then what's his face, the other person, I don't know what character it was, he basically launched this blistering attack, and the guy that only had one little ball hairy energy, he basically managed to parry every single attack, and then he turned it around and he ended up winning. And the whole place, I mean, it was in front of a live audience, and when this guy like managed to counter attack, and then he ended up winning, the whole place, thought we're going absolutely mental. And then they show you in slow motion, and you think, wow, that takes. It wasn't like if I play Street Fighter, I just mash the buttons. There's no skill. That's why I don't like fighting games, because there's no skill for me. But when you see people playing games well, it's awe-inspiring. But now, to answer Milfy's question, I wouldn't personally want to see video games in the Olympics. What about yourself?
No, easily answer for me on that, because I'm a little bit like you. It's sort of like Jason and the Argonauts with me. You know, it's physical adversity. You know, that's why the Paralympics as well is such good to watch, because of those people. You know, they've come over that, and they've tried, and they you know, and you can see them trying to compete at a certain level. Most games are memory games. You know, even if it's a shoot 'em up, it's patterns, it's this, it's that. There is Street Fighter where there's a bit of a random element to it, but if you're playing with two equal, it'd be like should we have chess at the Olympics? It's mind over, you know, the other person. It's not exactly going to be, for me, that great. I could just imagine saying, right, here's all the Olympics, now we're going to play decathlon, right? Right, you won, there you are, you're the decathlon winner, not Daley Thompson. You know,
Having been a runner, hopefully I'll get back to running, but I know how difficult and how much effort and skill, and it's not skill, how much training. People watch the Olympics and see Mo Farah winning the London Marathon. Oh, you know, these guys are. I mean, I've got a mate. He's a friend of mine's. He's actually he runs for Great Britain. He does ultra running. He just broke the record for doing a 135-mile thing a couple of weeks ago. He's out 4 o'clock in the morning every morning. He'll go and run 20 miles, and he's back. Comes back, gets back, has a shower, goes to work. You know, guys, people like that put in so much. That's what they say, that the actual race that they take part in the Olympics is the reward. It's all the months and months of training, going out at 4 o'clock in the morning, it's pitch dark and it's snowing, whatever. So you say, to see people in the Olympics who win a medal, whether it's weightlifting or the javelin or whatever, there is so much effort goes into that. And I'm not saying, when you watch guys like Charlie Farr knocking 4 million in Galaxian, that's impressive. Would I want to see that in the Olympics? No. But to take nothing away from guys like Charlie, it's awe-inspiring to see these kind of scores. But no, I don't think there would be. Then I think the second part of his question, if there was, what game would you want to see? I don't know. I don't think there would be a game I'd want to see. The obvious one would be like FIFA. But watching two guys been really good at FIFA. Nah. Not for me, Milty, I'm afraid. It's a big thumbs down for myself and Del Boy. And last one, I think. Yep, last question. I think. Oh, in fact, no, that is the last one. I thought that was wee Bob was asking, but he didn't actually ask a question. So anyway, yeah, so much for that. What did I say to you? I didn't say anything to you actually, but yeah, we're an hour and 45 minutes. So it's now it's a school night, so I'm going to get off.
Yeah.
Listen, well, I'm not going to thank you for interrupting my channel, but it was good that you did, and I think
I hacked you, didn't I? So there you are. You had no choice.
Nah, listen, Del, it's been an absolute pleasure having you on. If you do ever fancy coming up with some content, pulling maybe down, getting some videos together, whatever, you want to knock our heads together, that would be fantastic. Not to take anything away from you know, I mean, I always like to try and make my own videos, but I am conscious that I'm not putting much out there. But if you fancy kind of helping out at any point, let me know. That would be absolutely fantastic.
Certainly, yeah, not a problem.
Superb. And finally, guys, listen, thanks as always to everybody that watches the channel. This Sunday, 7 till 9. It's not going to be a 6 till 9 because then it'll just become 6 to 9 all the time. 7 o'clock to 9 o'clock. It's going to be a free for all, anything at all, arcade games, C64. Please tune in if you want to watch a fat old bloke playing some games. Piss poor. Thank you very much for watching. And finally, guys, take care. Cheers, guys.
Bye. Bye.